Somebody got that list? Let's start at the top.
That smells awesome.
I don't smell it.
It takes a second, and then when it hits, it's
So we'll do the digestive system first. So these are all the parts you're going to be able to have to ID on the test. So for the test next time, we're going to have a bunch of cats out, and they'll be stuff pinned, right? Kind of like the last one with the brain.
Wait, next class?
Or for the test, sorry, which is not next class, but I think 2 weeks from now. So first of all, oral cavity is your mouth, and his is filled with styrofoam, right? Pharynx. So your pharynx is going to be, at the back of your mouth. It's where the water, air, and food all goes through. And the cat, you can't really see it on this specimen without digging in there. So probably won't ask you that on the test, but just know where it is and what it does, right? Esophagus. So this tube right here with these cartilage circles is the trachea, and directly behind the trachea, this right here is the esophagus, right? What's the esophagus made out of? Smooth muscle, right? Then we come down. I'll include some of the other stuff too as we go. So the lungs are right here. So there's lobes of the lung. Here's some of the lungs. Here's the heart right here. And this right here is the diaphragm. This part right here, right? And like I said earlier, this is the trachea. And then if you look to the top of the trachea, this section right here is the larynx. And if you look on at the top of the larynx, this structure right here, it looks kind of like a tongue or a bird's beak. That's the epiglottis, and that closes over the glottis so that when you swallow food or water, it doesn't go into your trachea and go into your lungs and make you choke, right? And then directly underneath the glottis, there's an opening, and that's called, directly beneath the epiglottis, there's an opening, that's called the glottis. Around the opening, right here and right here, are the true vocal cords, so they're surrounding that opening. And then outside of those, at the base of the epiglottis, are the false vocal cords, right? What else we got here? So down here, this is the greater omentum. So this kind of whole layer right here would normally kind of cover all the intestines and everything and keep it all together. And it's got some fatty tissue and some connective tissue on it. But just know that that's the greater omentum, right? And this right here is the spleen, which is not really directly involved in digestion, but just know that it's there and what it is, because it's pretty obvious. So we put back the greater omentum, and then we look underneath the diaphragm here. This is the liver. So there's a few different lobes of the liver. I'm not sure exactly how many are in cats. Probably 4 or 5, I think. And so if we follow the esophagus down to, where does it go to? Where's the esophagus go? Stomach. So the stomach on the cat is this organ right here that's cut open. All right? So it's this organ right here. This is the stomach. It's cut open. You can see the chyme inside. So this kitty had some food before it passed away. So in between the esophagus and the stomach, what does the food have to go through? Which one? Cardiac, right? So the cardiac sphincter on the cat is going to be, you can't really see it good. You'd have to cut open some of this tissue to get at it. But just know that it's at the top of the stomach, right? And then the stomach. And then in between, what's after the stomach? Which type of intestine? Small, right? And what's in between the stomach and the small intestine?
Sphincter.
Which one? Pyloric, right. So, pyloric sphincter. So here, here's the bottom of the stomach right here, and then here's the start of the small intestine, and see where it goes, like where the small intestine and the stomach meet right in here, where they kind of come together. They come together and go skinny like that. That's the pyloric sphincter. So stomach, pyloric sphincter, small intestine, right? So what's the first part of the small intestine?
Duodenum.
the duodenum.
Oh.
All right. So here's the small intestine, the duodenum. All right. And what's the second part of the small intestine? Jejunum. So the jejunum would be like right. This would be part of the jejunum. And if you go to the end of the small intestine, so this is the large intestine right here. See how it's a lot wider than the small intestine. Here's the cecum. It's kind of C. And this is the small intestine. What's the last part of the small intestine? Ileum. So when you're looking at it from the outside, there's not really clearly marked off, where the duodenum ends and the jejunum begins. If you're just looking at it from the outside. So just know, if I have the small intestine pinned like right here, that would be what? Duodenum. If I have it pinned like right here, that would be what? And then if I have it pinned down here near the large intestine, that would be the ileum. Right. And then, so in between the small intestine and the large intestine, what is there? There's a valve. Yeah, it's a ileocecal valve, right? So ileocecal valve into the cecum, which is right here, into the large intestine or colon, and then down to the anus, which is way down there, right? And then the pancreas. So the pancreas is right next to the duodenum. And so if you look at it, so here's the duodenum, and you see this tissue right here, and then this tissue right here, and then right here. That's the pancreas. To me, it kind of looks like, if you have go to the grocery store, you see a steak, like the top part of it, the surface of it.
Just like a steak. Right.
So think about that the next time you're eating a steak, right? So that's a pancreas. So that's the pancreas, which dumps a bunch of enzymes into the duodenum, right? What else? So we did the oral cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, the gallbladder, and okay. So the gallbladder is going to be located in between some of the lobes of the liver. And on most cats, it's pretty obvious. It's like a really obvious green color, but on this guy, it's not so much for some reason. But it's in between the lobes of the liver, and it's this little kind of white translucent sac right here. And like I said, in most other cats, it's really odd. I mean, this whole thing will be just like almost bright green, right? And that's the gallbladder. The colon, basically, we're saying the colon's the same thing as the large intestine here on this cat. All right, we're not going to worry about like ascending, descending, and all that stuff. I think that's everything, right?
What about the mesentery?
Oh, the mesentery is this tissue, this kind of clear tissue here that holds the small intestines all together and keeps them from just going everywhere, right? So that's mesentery right there, right?
Is there going to be visceral and
Yeah, so visceral peritoneum and parietal peritoneum. So visceral peritoneum is just a covering on all the organs in this lower cavity, and then the parietal peritoneum is the covering on the sides in this cavity, right? So that's the difference between visceral and parietal. So this would be,
and then that's just skin on the next side?
on the outside, that's skin, and then inside
Okay.
is the parietal peritoneum, and then the layer covering all the organs is the visceral peritoneum.
So it's like each organ is by itself
What do you mean?
in the visceral.
Like they're all the organs are surrounded, by visceral peritoneum, right? And I mean, it's all peritoneum, but the stuff that's on the organs they call visceral, and the stuff on the sides of the wall is parietal. Yeah, exactly. Yep. The spleen is this organ right here. It's pretty obvious.
Ruptured it.
Now, that's the stomach right here. Now on this guy, it's cut open, right? So the stomach is directly beneath the liver. And here's the diaphragm, right here.
Break it down, bro.
And then the phrenic nerve which controls the diaphragm. If you look right there, you see in that little thing that looks like a string right there, like a white string. That's the phrenic nerve. So it controls the movement of the diaphragm. Right. Flip it. Is the respiratory stuff on the other side?
No, it's like another sheet.
Is it a different sheet? No, that's it. Right there. Yeah, worksheet on respiration. So I think we did all that too. So the external nares are just the nose, the openings for the nose. Nasal cavity is inside. Pharynx, larynx, epiglottis, glottis, true, false vocal cords, trachea, lungs, primary bronchi. So if you follow the trachea, all the way down to where it splits. So there it splits right there. So it goes here, splits this way, and splits that way. So those splits are the primary bronchi. All right. Phrenic nerve, I just showed you that. Diaphragm, visceral pleural, and parietal pleural. So again, like down here, the visceral pleural covers all the organs up here. The parietal pleural covers the sides. All right. And that's it.
What about the true vocal cords?
So the true and false vocal cords. So if you look, the larynx, epiglottis, the opening underneath the epiglottis is the glottis. On the sides of the glottis are the true vocal cords, and the false vocal cords are on the outside of the true vocal cords at the base of the epiglottis. So those are the false vocal cords, true vocal cords. All right.
Are they gonna have any kind of open lab for this?
Yeah. We have open lab every